this is the new normal as the coronavirus crisis changes daily life as we know it.
We'd much rather be ahead of the curve than behind it.
And there's not just one reason why the U.S. has been so slow to test.
Tonight, a Russian passenger plane became a fireball.
Devastating fires in Australia.
The deadliest tornado to hit the United States in nearly 7 years.
The Department of Education draft proposal would be a dramatic turn from Obama-era regulations.
Breaking news concerning the U.S. economy today.
This is an extraordinary time.
As scientists work to contain the coronavirus, researchers are still trying to figure out where it came from. Early research suggests humans picked up the coronavirus from animals, possibly bats, but it's not clear how the virus made that jump. Science journalist and author David Quammen has been tracking this. He joins me now on the phone. And David, I know
there is peace. There is harmony. There is tranquility. There is serenity. It's very close. It's right in front of you. It's just right there. All we need to do is acknowledge it and accept it and love it. Hey, hello, everyone. My name is Lou Longmire, and I want to welcome you to Unity Spiritual Center of Central Minnesota in Sartell. It's very exciting to have you here. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be doing this. This is really the first time that I've done a video message, so it's new for me, and it might be new for you as well. So we'll get through this together. And isn't that the truth about a lot of the things that are happening in our world today? We'll get through this together. So welcome, and I'm glad you're here. I want to comment on the opening of this video. I felt that it was really perfectly appropriate to show the frenetic pace that we all are living through with the news of the day and the all of the crazy stuff that's just being shot at us all day long. And then the opportunities that we have to step back and to go within and to enter a real meditative state. It's a real balance. It's a balance between that frenetic energy and then going within and tapping into the God energy that's in all of us. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was how this is really the time of the equinox. We just acknowledged the equinox here. I think it was Thursday night at 10 o'clock was the official time of the equinox. And what that means is equinox means equal time during the day and equal time at night. And through the ages, down through the millennia, our forefathers have really recognized that it's a time of appreciating and understanding balance. And that's balance between life and death, and balance between the bringing in of the harvest and the storing of food. And now it's time to celebrate because it's getting warmer and life is emerging, and it's time to really celebrate life. So it's a balance between those two energies. That's what this time really represents. And it's important for us to see how that plays out in our own lives, especially when we're living in this particular time that we're living in now. I hope you had the opportunity to watch Barbara's video presentation on the church website last week. She did a phenomenal job really talking about the virus and the quarantining business that's going on, and really how it affects all of us, and how we can look at it metaphysically, and how we can really appreciate the circumstances and see through it and see the divinity in it. And she did a very, very fine job. I wanted to share with you some things that I think are important when it comes to the concept of really understanding the balance, the question of balance. There's a quote I want to share with you, a reading from the Bible. It's the book of Ecclesiastes. I know you've heard it before, but it seems to be really appropriate considering the circumstances we're in right now. It's under the heading of The Mystery of Time, and it reads, "There is an occasion for everything, and a time for every activity under heaven. A time to give birth, and a time to die. A time to tear down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to embrace, and a time to avoid embracing. A time to search, and a time to count as lost." And of course, maybe now is that perfect time for us to go inward, to be introspective, and to make that connection with our divine source. There's a time for everything, and there's no wrong time or no right time. And there's another story that I want to share with you that I know you've heard it 1,000 times, I'm sure, but for some reason it just seems to be perfectly appropriate right now, considering what's happening in our lives. It's a story about a Chinese farmer. And again, I'm sure you've heard it, but listen to it with fresh ears this time. A farmer and his son had a beloved stallion who helped the family earn a living. One day the horse ran away, and the neighbors exclaimed, "Your horse ran away. What terrible, terrible luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A few days later, the horse returned home, leading a few wild mares back to the farm as well. The neighbors shouted, "Your horse has returned and brought several horses home with him. What great luck!" The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." Later that week, the farmer's son was trying to break one of the mares, and she threw him to the ground, breaking his leg. The villagers cried, "Your son broke his leg. What terrible luck!" To which the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." And then a few weeks later, soldiers from the National Army marched through town recruiting all the able-bodied young men for the army. They did not take the farmer's son, still recovering from his injury. The friend shouted, "Oh, your boy is spared. What tremendous luck!" To which the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." So what does this situation bring? This quarantine, this virus, this thing that's surrounding us right now. What does it bring? Is it good news? Is it bad news? Is it something that's giving us an opportunity? For me, I really am looking at this as an opportunity to get some work done, and not only work around the house, but internal work, some spiritual work, some work that I've been delaying. And I think I told you the story when my sweetie and I got back from California here a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that I just happened to notice on my trip was that I kept finding pennies. I had a penny here somewhere. I don't know where my penny went. There it is. Kept finding pennies, and these shiny, beautiful pennies. And they were all just like they had been newly minted. These newly minted shiny pennies. And I didn't think anything of it. It didn't mean anything to me. I'd pick them up. I'd put them in my pocket because I come from that school of, well, you never know. You put a penny in your pocket. You never pass up money. And then it dawned on me what's printed on each one of those pennies. Every one of them. Every time I picked up one of those pennies, I was reinforcing the message, in God we trust. Trust in God. Trust in God. That's the message that I kept hearing. Today, I found a penny today. And I'm going to use that as my reminder every single time I see a penny. Oh, I'm going to pick it up. Because I'm going to trust in God that whatever's happening in my life is for a reason. There's a purpose. And it may not It may not seem like it's something that I really want. It may not seem colorful. It may not seem beautiful. It may not seem prosperous. It may not seem like it's exactly what I asked for. It may not seem like it's something that should be happening to me. But if I trust in God, chances are there's a reason that it came my way, and maybe I should look at it. The work that I do during the daytime, I call it my daylighting job. This is really the job that I love. This is what winds my clock, and talking to you incredible people about these incredible things really is what feeds me. It feeds my soul. I love doing it. I love talking to you, and I love the interaction. But during the daytime, what I do sometimes to put a couple of dollars in my pocket, as I work in the construction business, and we happen to be on a particularly large project right now. And there's a lot of people that do what I do. There are a lot of inspectors. And there was a fella who came on board our team, and I knew who he was, I know who he is. And he's one of those guys whose reputation precedes him. And his reputation is one of, it isn't particularly stellar. He's known to be kind of difficult to get along with, and one of those know-it-all guys who's willing to tell you everything that he knows about what it is that you're doing, and is going to tell you at length what you're doing wrong and how he knows how to do it because he's been doing it for 40 years. And I just didn't want to work with him. I didn't want to have him on my team. We're divided up into different teams, and I didn't want to have him on my team because I knew that it would be. My feeling is that it would be a conflict. And the truth is, now this is between you and me. The truth is, I have a really big ego. Sorry, I do. And this guy does too. And I know that because I've had interactions with him. And I just didn't want to have him on my team. It was my ego flaring up, and my sense of self, my sense of I want to be the king, the top dog in the roost. And so here's this guy coming on board, and everybody in the office, everybody that was there was excited about him coming because he's just this big tough guy that knows everything. And they were all excited about him working with me. Now, why they wanted him to work with me, I don't know. But they kept saying, he's going to be on your team, Lou, and he's going to be working on this particular part of the project with you. And I'm like, no. I don't need him. I don't want him. I don't need it. I don't need him. Well, guess what? He got assigned to my team. And I just was dreading it. I was just dreading it. Mainly because I saw the conflicts. I saw the challenge. That's what it was, the challenge to my position. And boy, after a while, it took a while, and he hadn't even started yet. I had just been working through this. I really spent a lot of silly, needless energy working through this process. I got to the point where I thought, I just have to open the door up, and I have to be willing to meet this guy and to deal with him and to talk with him. And of course I know that what happened. I like the guy. He came in, we started to talk. He's a big kind of a blowhard blah 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 kind of a guy. So am I. But I started to talk with the guy, and dang, I kind of like him. And the fact is, he's got a whole boatload of experience that's very valuable in this particular project. And after a while, I realized that he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's like every one of us. He's got his foibles and he's got his eccentricities. Lord only knows about my eccentricities. And it just worked out that I just laughed at myself that I was so paranoid about him coming into my territory. But once I got to know the guy, it made a huge difference. So the lesson there for me, the metaphysical lesson there for me was so maybe the truth is there's the time had come for me to get off my high horse and really look at this guy for who he is, and just know that he's a human being and he's a God being, and and look past any of the other stuff. And sure enough, it was a wonderful, amazing experience. And he's still a blowhard. He's still a braggart, and occasionally difficult to get along with. So am I. So it's working out. It is. So think of it like this. I would encourage you to think of it like this. There's a balance in our life that has to be struck, and the balance is between divinity and ego. The balance is between strength and power and virility and gentleness and openness and willingness. There's a real balance that needs to be struck. And in my life, the difficulty that I've had and the obstacle that I've come up with or had to deal with is the unwillingness to let the balance swing over to the softer side and the more divine side. My ego gets in the way so often, so much of the time, and it's always a struggle, or it has been a struggle for me. I'm getting better at it. I'm using the Emmett Fox, just think about God, just the golden key, just think about God, just think about God, just think about God. God is great. God is all-encompassing. I am part of God. God is the energy in me. So now we find ourselves at the moment of that balance. We are in the midst of the vernal equinox, and it's an opportunity for you and for me and for all of us really to see both sides of the scale, both sides of the world that we live in, and just see how we can balance our lives maybe a little more effectively. Think about that for just a moment. I'll be right back. Celebrate the spring. It's Easter time. It's the life is erupting from the earth. The flowers, the plants, the bees, the birds, everything is beginning to just erupt in this spasm of life and excitement. Do you know how they calculate Easter, when Easter is? Easter is calculated. This is what the fellas from the Council of Nicaea calculated. Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. Who knew? Well, guess what? April 12th is Easter. It's time to celebrate. It's time to get out and live life. And this is my 2 cents. This is my philosophy. When I do my public speaking and my motivational speaking, this is kind of where I go with this. You know, I don't know how long you're going to be on this rock. Are you going to be here for 60 years, 80 years, 100 years? My personal contract is I'm going to live to be 105, and I get 7-year options for renewal after that. I don't know about you, but that's my agreement. But I mean, you could be standing on this rock for another 50 years. It could be 20 years. It could be maybe tomorrow is it. I don't know. You don't know either. We have such a limited time on this rock, on this earth. Why not make the absolute most of it every single moment that we can? Right now, it's springtime. It's the time of life. It's the time of getting out there and just enjoying yourself. But not only just enjoying yourself, doing what you were intended to do. See, I believe that you have an assignment. It's not that you have a goal. It's not that you have some sort of a God-given gift. That may be true. But I believe you have an assignment. You've been given an assignment, a talent. Steve Harvey calls it a gift. You've been given a gift. And your job is to find out really what that gift is. And once you hone it down, once you find out what that gift is, you're responsible to share that with the world. God's gift to you is your talent, is your ability, it's your assignment. Your gift to God is how you use it. Don't waste any of it. Don't waste a minute of it, because that clock is just ticking. I know I've told some of you I have a beautiful mantle clock. It's right behind me right now on the wall. And at every 15 minutes it rings. And I hear the clock chiming, and I think, oh my God, another 15 minutes is gone. Poof, like that. I'm never going to get it back, ever. It's the same for you. It's the same for all of us. So we have no time to waste. This opportunity has been thrown in our lap to live in this incredible, abundant, spectacular place. What are we going to do with the time that we have, or the time that we have left? I don't know. I don't know what it is for you, but I know what it is for me. I know what my assignment is, and I got to get cooking. After this situation that we're in right now, after this quarantining and this social distancing and this keeping ourselves segregated from each other, which is a good thing. We have to do it. It's a smart thing. The more diligent we are in doing this, the sooner that we're going to get over the hump, as they say. Now, whether that takes a week or 2 weeks or a month or 6 months, I don't know. You don't either. But once this is over with, the opportunity is there for you sitting in your lap to just run with the assignment that you've been given. I would encourage you to do so. And if you don't know what your assignment is, if you don't know what your God-given gift is, then it's really not difficult to find out. It's not difficult to discover. It's really what you love to do, what you can't wait to do when you wake up in the morning or when you get home from work. It's that thing that you just love to do. Whether you get paid for it or not, it doesn't matter. That's your assignment. It could be fostering shelter animals. It could be fostering kids. It could be knitting. It could be baking pies. It could be fixing cars. It could be mowing lawns. It doesn't matter. As long as it feeds your soul, as long as it winds your clock, speaking of clocks, that's what's important. That's really the key. And it's just something that you have to do, because who wants to be... I would encourage you to Google this. I've never done this before on the internet, on the internets, to Google this, but look up deathbed regrets. I know that's kind of a morbid thing to talk about when we're on a Sunday and you're listening to this wonderful talk about springtime and life, but really, Google deathbed regrets, and you'll see some of the most amazing things. Some of these people who are, as I love to say, at the end of the runway, really, look back over their lives, and some people have been interviewed and they've been asked, what regrets do you have in your life? What if you could have a do-over, what would it be? And time after time after time, the responses that they give look like this. I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I had done what I really loved to do instead of what somebody else wanted me to do. I wish I would have lived my own life instead of somebody else's life. I wish I would have loved more. I wish I would have expressed my love more. I wish I would have touched more. Wow, you can't get that back. You can't get that back. So live now. Find out what that assignment is that's your assignment. And just know that Easter's coming up here in just a few weeks. So it's really kind of a fun double whammy we have going here, because we're all hibernating. We're all in this quarantine thing. And I don't know how long it's going to last, but something tells me that by Easter, which is, 3 weeks from now, we're going to start popping our heads out of the cave. We're going to start resurrecting ourselves, resurrecting our lives, starting to live our lives again. What a fabulous opportunity for us to experience that resurgence of life and that renewal, that rebirth of our existence and of our life. So we're all going to have a really spectacular opportunity here to have an experience. And that experience that's coming up pretty shortly, I think, is exercising the balance between living this incredible life and experiencing the resurgence that we're experiencing during the springtime, and knowing what your gift. Do you hear my clock? Can you hear that? Do you hear that? That's the clock. That's the clock that's telling us that another 15 minutes just went poof. What are you going to do? Don't waste any time. Don't waste any time. So there's a balance between this excitement of spring, this excitement of life, this excitement of energy. It's really important. And I'm looking forward to my own experience, and I'm looking forward to hearing your experiences as well, as we all have that opportunity to balance the difference between going within and then exploding in life and energy and excitement. I'd love to share with you an experience now, an experience of meditation. I want to have an experience and share it with you of having a moment to thin the veil and get as close as I can and as close as we can to our divine connection. And now is the time for us to do a meditation. So please, if you would, get comfortable in your chair, get comfortable in the room that you're in. And if you see yourself closing your eyes gently, please do so. And always breathe. Inhale slowly and deeply. And as you inhale, know that you're inhaling love, and you're inhaling peace, and you're inhaling the sanctity of the room that you're in. And as you exhale, experience that you're exhaling stress and any green and negative energy. Just feel that washing away from you. And just know that when you inhale, you're inhaling love and peace and the security of the house that you're in and the room that you're in. Just keep breathing. I'd like to take you on a little adventure. I'd like to walk with you on a beautiful, secluded beach where the seashells are washing up on the shore and seagulls are swooping. The breeze is blowing. I want to take you there now. There is a place that I want to show you. It's 1,000,000 miles away, and it's right where you sit, even now. You've been there before, but maybe you've never actually seen it. I invite you to close your eyes, if you will, and allow yourself to drift into that quiet place, that upper room where there are no bothers and the daily busy movements and goings on just sort of melt away and drip off your shoulders like so many droplets of rain. And breathe. Just breathe. Slowly, deeply, rhythmically. Allow your imagination to take you away from here just for a few moments. Can you see yourself walking along some lonely stretch of beach? It's cold and windy, like any early spring morning. The gray skies add to the feeling of inwardness and contemplation. You are warm enough, though, wrapped in your layered protection, but yet the delicious, moist, briny air, laced with the aroma of the living ocean, seems to slice into your being as it brushes across your face. Breathe deep. No one else is there. It's just you and a sandpiper or two, scurrying along ahead of you, searching for some hidden treat buried in the wet sand. They seem so busy, tending to their so important work. And the gulls, carelessly soaring, occasionally gathering in the sand ahead of you just to chat and trade stories of today's adventures. You've kept your shoes on, but I know you're so tempted to feel the raw wetness of the sand on your skin as you walk. An assortment of small seashells has washed up on the sand for your inspection. Mussels and clamshells, a rose petal telon, and some calico scallop shells. You spot a tiny periwinkle and a lace murex. All creatures of the sea, just like you and me. Still, no one to be seen but you on this little piece of earth at the sea. Here is the place for you to sit, up a ways from the water on the drier sand, still feeling and smelling the sea air brushing across your face. Just be with me for a moment here. Stirring in you now are the primal feelings of creation, passion, connection, loneliness, power, love, the all of creation. You feel cleansed by the current of air having traveled thousands of miles across the ocean just to push past you. The sea contains so many colors. Silver at dawn, green at noon, dark blue in the evening. Sometimes it looks almost red, or it will turn the color of old coins. Right now the shadows of clouds are drifting across, and small patches of sunlight are touching down everywhere. White strings of gulls drag over it like little beads. Close your eyes now and listen to the waves. Listen to them move across a faint horizon. The rush of love and the surge of grief. The respite of peace and a little fear again. The heart that beats and then lies still. The rise and fall and rise and fall of it all. The incoming and the outgoing. The infinite procession of life. The mysteries come forward in waves, and hear those waves breaking measured thunder. Now is the time for you to connect with your divine essence. You are one. The sun now dapples the gray ocean, and the breeze has calmed just a bit. The flowing tide is washing the waves higher now, signaling it's our time to move. Come with me now, back into this room. If you'd like, bring with you the lessons from our little walk on the beach by the sea. These cycles never cease. These powers of divine creation continue, as do we in our connection to God.